I got a text from my older brother, Little Monty, today, um, and he sent me a picture. I guess it'll be the Dad's last picture, or the last picture I receive of Dad. And I know many people find pictures of the dead creepy and disturbing, but I'm not creeped out. I'm not disturbed by it. Actually kind of comforted by it, because Dad looks peaceful. I can see he's at peace. And I know he didn't have a life full of peace. He's born about 1944, and things were not necessarily very good for African Americans in this country at that time. Things have improved greatly since that time. But yeah, when he was growing up, wow, that had to be scary. You know, he was a young man in his 20s when Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X were assassinated, and along with JFK and Robert Kennedy as well. During the 60s. I can't imagine what it was like to witness those things. Maybe he may not have been right there when it happened, but to be a young person at that time, watching the world evolve and not necessarily having a full understanding of it, except for things aren't equal for you. It doesn't matter how good you are, that you're still not good enough. And even when you're better, you're still not good enough. I mean, there's just something to think about, all the things he experienced, and I know he shared with me once that he was kind of afraid to date my mother. And my mother passes easily for Caucasian. She's fair-skinned, with green eyes and chestnut brown hair, because her mother is half German. But technically my mother's not a white woman, but she's, like I said, she looks like a white woman. For him, that was a dangerous thing to do, date a white woman. Because maybe at that time they weren't lynching blacks as often as they used to, but it was still something that could get you in a lot of trouble as a black man. And definitely I know my mother, being someone who appeared white, by dating my father, by having me, you know, didn't make life any easier for her as someone who was technically already non-white. I mean, she could have gotten by, she could have passed, and I think for the most part, she chose not to. And I think that was out of kind of a self-hate. She definitely hates looking like a white person. She does. and, she used to, I guess, a couple of times her boyfriends were very dark, and I remember my grandmother asking her, "What, you couldn't find one any blacker?" She did often go for very dark men, and I find that is the case of people who are, really hate what they see in the mirrors. They go for something quite different from themselves sometimes. Not always. Some people sometimes you just love who you love. But my mother was definitely a defiant person and is still a defiant person. But yeah, all I can do now is hold my experiences, the things I got from my dad, in my heart and treasure them. I know my mother's got a lot of bad things to say. I'm sure there's plenty of people that got a lot of bad things to say. My dad was no angel. I'm very highly aware of that. I have no misconceptions when it comes to him. Some people would say he was a bad man, and and in his own unique way, he wreaked havoc on the world and left behind plenty of DNA, because I am only one of many. But I'm glad to be one of many. I love all my brothers and sisters, and it doesn't matter whose mama they came from. It doesn't matter to me that all we have in common is my dad, our dad. I have to share. But yeah, it's strange to think that he's technically gone, but in a way, he's not gone, because I'm still here, and I have brothers and sisters that are here, and we have children. Me, I have two, and I know some of my brothers have tried to compete with Dad on the number of children thing, and some of them are grandparents already. My older brother Monty is, he's a granddad already, and my sister Renetta is a grandma already, and so my dad is still around, and here and there, and he's part of me, just like my mother's part of me, and no matter how far away I go, the things I learned, the things I experienced are with me, and I'm glad he's at peace. I'm glad that, all this conflict and turmoil of the world is over for him. I know there were things that he had struggled with on a personal level, things he felt guilty about. And I know that struggle is over. And like I said, that he's at peace, and and the rest of us will go on and do our best to make peace with ourselves, etc. before it's our time to move on. And I wish everyone finds that peace, that they are at peace when they leave this earth. And that's all I think any of us can really hope for and work towards.